Yes, guys, what's going on? So I wanted to talk about Kell Brook and JoJo Dan. As you all know, I've been away for a little while. I have been doing a lot of stuff with the channel. Trust me, I've been really busy. You guys are going to see very shortly what exactly I've done. Or you might have already seen by the time I upload this video. I don't really know how it's going to go. But, talk about Kell Brook versus JoJo Dan. JoJo Dan is Kell Brook's mandatory, okay? And I see a lot of people dissing Kell about taking the JoJo Dan fight. I see a lot of people defending Kell Brook, saying, yo, this is Kell's mandatory and he has to take the fight. Let's talk about it. I think you're either on one side or you're on the other side, and there's few people who are in the middle. Most people are either on hate Kell Brook or like Kell Brook, and I don't think that's the way it has to be. Now, me as a person, since Kell Brook faced Sean Potter, and it was before he stepped in the ring, it was when the Sean Potter fight was announced, and I saw Kell Brook walking in and I knew Kell Brook was going to take the fight, my respect levels for Kell Brook have gone very high. Because he took a very difficult fight and he deserves credit for that. And I can't stress this enough that to do that, it takes guts. And Kell Brook showed it by facing Sean Potter. And not only facing him, beating him. And beating him, before Kell Brook stepped in the ring, he was confident as well. So this shows me that Kell Brook is a good fighter. It led me to believe for many years, though, however, the way Kell Brook used to act and not taking certain fights, whether it was because of an injury or because certain fights couldn't be made, or whatever the reason was, there was a lot of rumours going around, there was a lot of speculation, and many people did think, and I think, myself included, that, yo, why is Kell Brook not fighting anybody? You know, it's been such a long time, why is Kell Brook not fighting anyone? And that was a question that arose. But then when Kell Brook's gone and faced Sean Potter, I think for me personally, he eradicated all these questions. And I think going into the JoJo Dan fight, I think you have to give Kell Brook the benefit of the doubt. Because at the end of the day, JoJo Dan is Kell Brook's mandatory. So, does he have to take him right now? I think with these things, it's ideal to just prolong it as long as you can and take on a good fighter. But then there's another ingredient which people have missed. And I think that ingredient is Kell Brook's injury. Kell Brook is coming off an injury, so he needed a soft touch fight. He couldn't go into a super fight like Juan Manuel Marquez or Timothy Bradley or Keith Thurman. He couldn't take one of these fights right now, because if he was to take this fight, one of these fights, I think it would be difficult for Kell Brook to look the way he should look. Whether that would mean losing convincingly, whether that would mean losing just by a bit, winning by a bit, or winning very convincingly. We wouldn't know what Kell Brook, the 100% Kell Brook, who's in shape, who's ready for the fight, who's not coming off an injury, not having ring rust, would look like. So I think fighting JoJo Dan is good for Kell right now, because he needs a fight where he can get his feet wet. Because at the moment, irrespective of anything, there will be some ring rust maybe in the first one or two rounds. And I think as Kell Brook settles in, this ring rust will start to deteriorate and he'll get into his rhythm and he'll be okay. The thing is with Kell Brook is an adjustment fighter. And what does this mean? An adjustment fighter is a person who, when they're in the ring, they calculate what's going on, and they make an adjustment in the fight. And this is Floyd Mayweather, as everybody knows. He's an adjustment fighter. I think someone like Marquez is an adjustment fighter, but Marquez obviously adjusts slower than Mayweather. It took him, 3 fights to adjust to Pacquiao, but you know, he did eventually adjust and got the KO against Pacquiao. And obviously he does adjust in fights. I'm making a bit of a joke there, but Kell Brook, when he faces JoJo Dan, I think Kell Brook will figure JoJo Dan out quite easily. I think when JoJo Dan feels Kell Brook's power, and JoJo Dan reminds me a little bit of Rod Salker. Not that this, I don't know, just maybe looks-wise. I don't know what it is, personality-wise. I don't know, I think it's more the look. Reminds me a little bit of, what's his name, Rod Salker. And we all know what happened with Danny Garcia, Rod Salker. But anyway, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying he is anything like Rod Salker. He's not. JoJo Dan is a far better fighter than Rod Salker, obviously. He's awkward as JoJo Dan. He is awkward, but so is Kell. Kell comes from the Ingle camp. Kell is going to be very awkward when he faces JoJo Dan. He's going to make adjustments in the fight. He's going to counterpunch. And I think Kell Brook will actually not just counterpunch and stay on the back foot. I think Kell Brook's going to press the issue. I think he's going to go forward. He's going to use a stiff jab. Kell Brook has a very stiff jab. And I think he's going to use that against JoJo Dan. And JoJo Dan, I don't think he's gonna like the power of Kell. I think the power of Kell is gonna really take its toll on JoJo Dan. I think Kell may struggle to punch JoJo Dan and maybe miss a few punches, but eventually he's gonna start catching him. And I think you're going to see Kell Brook outclass JoJo Dan. I think the first 3 rounds will be a little bit like this, like Kell Brook maybe getting hit a little bit, and I think we will see signs of ring rust. But I think after round, maybe it might be after round 1, maybe round 2, maybe round 3. Hell, if he's on a really bad day, it might be after round 4. But I think Kell Brook's confidence is pretty high after the Sean Porter win. Let's see how the leg injury affects it. But we know Kell Brook's been in dark places before, and he's pulled through and he became a world champion. So I think when you see something like that, where you see your dream fulfilled, when someone tells you, I don't know about other people if they were able to fulfill any dreams in their life, but I've fulfilled certain dreams in my life, things I wanted to really do. And when you see that hard work in your commitment to whatever you were doing for such a long time, even though people said you can't, when you fulfill that, you have a new sense of confidence, because you start to believe that, you know what, it's true. It's not just, the world isn't just dark and rubbish and all this stuff is just bullshit, mind my language. You start to see that, if you do put in the hard work, you do put in the dedication, that you can achieve your dreams. And I think Kell Brook will understand this, that if he puts in the work, he can achieve his dreams. And I think with that sense of confidence going into the JoJo Dan fight, and he knows that JoJo Dan is beneath him as a fighter and he should demolish JoJo Dan. So I think Kell Brook's confidence won't be knocked. I think if he was fighting a difficult fighter who's going to take him to the trenches, I think he would struggle in this fight, because I think the injury would affect him. I think I think it's going to be a lot of mental games for Kell Brook. I think it's more Kell Brook versus Kell Brook in this fight than Kell Brook versus JoJo Dan. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments in the section below. Subscribe as always. I think Kell Brook's a league above JoJo Dan. I think Kell Brook is one of the best 147 fighters that there is, and I think he's a solid 147 pounder in terms of muscle mass, in terms of size and sheer power. I think Kell Brook definitely has it. He's got the much superior skill set. I mean, his footwork is second to none. Until you see someone on the elite level, you can never make that judgment. We had to see Kell Brook perform on the elite level to know what he's really like, and we saw Kell Brook's footwork stood up to the test against Porter. His power stood up to the test. His accuracy, his speed, everything was there. Yes, it was a little bit like miss, pull, bit of a dirty, rough fight with Sean Porter, but he performed and he won the fight. So let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the section below. Please subscribe as always. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. I do apologise for decreasing my video output, but I will increase it, I promise. And stay tuned, guys, in a bit.